Chairman's update from the offices here in Bellevue. Hope you're having a good week. We've been very busy here at WAGOP. Of course, this week, ballots for the general election are arriving. You should have yours, if you didn't get it today, in the next day or two. Each county in the state of Washington mails their ballots in a slightly different way, so they'll arrive over the next few days. This is for the general election. The ballots are due by November 4th, Tuesday, November 4th. I recommend you look at your ballot maybe this weekend or sooner, fill it out, and drop it in a ballot box or take it to your county auditor's office at the county courthouse or your county government's administrative building yourself. I don't entirely trust the mail to deliver your ballot on time, but I do encourage you to fill out the ballot sooner rather than later. A few years ago, of course, some Republicans talked about holding their ballots until Election Day. But I believe, and I think most conservative political activists have come to the conclusion that earlier voting is better. So if you have the chance, look over your ballot, look up questions you might have at wagop.org or other websites you trust. Fill out your ballot sooner and get it sealed and put it in either a ballot box or at your county auditor's office as soon as you can. There is another way that we will be voting this year in Washington State. WAGOP is expanding our ballot harvesting program. We started this a couple of years ago. Ballot harvesting, of course, is the process by which we send canvassers, volunteers, or sometimes paid staff of the state party, go into neighborhoods. They knock on doors, they pick up ballots, they take the ballot, and they deliver it to the county courthouse, the county auditor's office, to be counted. In some states, this process of picking up ballots, collecting them, and taking them in to be counted is illegal, is not allowed. In Washington State, ballot harvesting is entirely legal. And for a number of years, Republicans in our state considered it a kind of dirty business, something they didn't like to do. I like to win elections, and organizing ballot harvesting efforts where we, in a targeted way, go into neighborhoods where maybe there are conservative voters, Republican voters who don't vote very often, and contact them, knock on their door, talk with them. Maybe we've sent them an email or a text message ahead of time, letting them know this is happening, picking up the ballot and turning it in. That is an effective way to increase voter participation, increase voter turnout among more conservative and Republican voters. That's something we need to do. In many of the elections that we don't win here in Washington State, we see that there's low voter turnout, low voter participation. And in an off year, like this one is, 2025, is mostly a local election year, your city councils, your school boards, voter turnout tends to be lower to start with. So every little bit we can do to raise the voter participation by conservatives and Republicans in Washington has a bigger effect because the overall voter participation is going to be lower anyway. I think we can turn a few elections here for school boards. As you know, the WAGOP is supporting a group of about 82 conservative and common sense school board candidates around Washington. And WAGOP is also involved in a couple of special legislative races, two in particular that are special elections for the state Senate in Olympia. And we are actively working in those races to do that ballot harvesting, sending our teams into neighborhoods to pick up ballots and take them into the county to be counted. Of course, we target voters who are likely to be conservative or Republican, so we have every incentive to make sure that those ballots get delivered right and get counted. It's a program we started a couple of years ago in a very limited way. I would still call our ballot harvesting efforts a kind of pilot project. We aren't doing it quite statewide yet. We're still doing it in targeted, focused areas and a few kind of perfecting our methods, our organization, our strategies and tactics for being most effective at picking up ballots and delivering them timely. It was encouraging this year, though, that we just recently, kind of at a critical moment, had a number of our major donors agreed to support WAGOP's campaign efforts, particularly the ballot harvesting program. I think people all across the political space, whether they're grassroots or mainstream or other, are seeing that ballot harvesting, if you do it right, can work. It can tilt a race that's going to be close a little more in the Republican direction. And that's good for everyone. That's good for the state. That's good for the taxpayers. It's good for everybody. So the ballot harvesting effort is a major part of our undertaking. I'm encouraged that people all around the Republican political universe see that it's an interesting, effective way to increase voter turnout. Get out the vote, GOTV, as they say. So we'll be doing that in and around the state, a couple of different locations, particularly in those two state Senate races. Remember, one of them is in kind of the Gig Harbor, Port Orchard area and in western Pierce and southern Kitsap counties. That's one of the Senate races. The other Senate race, state Senate race, is in the 5th District. That's the far east suburbs in King County. So it's still King County, but it's kind of a purplish part of King County. The towns of Issaquah and Enumclaw are kind of the north and south centers of that district. In those areas, if you live anywhere in that area, you're probably going to be hearing from us quite a bit. You'll be seeing digital video ads. You'll be getting text messages. You may be getting some knocks on your door. We will be working hard to make sure that Republican and conservative voters in those areas are voting. And we'll be doing it in other places too, largely tied around our school board races that we're supporting. You can look at wagop.org, and we'll also include a link underneath this video where you can see our list of the supported, we call it, school board races, school board candidates. Remember, a couple of years ago, we started our school board program by supporting 36 conservative candidates for school boards around the state. 32 of the 36 were elected, so our average is pretty good in that program. Now we're doing about 82 candidates, and our hope is we can keep that good average up, maybe get almost all of those through, or at least a good majority of them through, get them elected, and grow the conservative caucus within the Washington State School Directors Association, WASDA, which has a lot to do with implementing K-12 education policy around the state. So this is what we look at. This is what we do as Election Day approaches in a state with all mail-in voting. Of course, we're working with our initiative, IL 26-126, that has to do with voter ID when you register to vote in Washington. We're looking for ways to reform and improve our election processes here in Washington State. But that project, the initiative has till the end of the calendar year to collect signatures. Election Day is just coming up soon, November 4th. So our immediate goal is to make sure we get out the vote for that November 4th general election. And lastly, this coming weekend, there's going to be nationwide the so-called No Kings protests organized by a network of left-wing activist organizations. As long as they stay peaceful, we champion and celebrate the First Amendment right to freedom of speech in our country, and our state constitution's Article 1, Section 4 constitutional protection for assembly, for freedom of assembly at a protest or a rally. So we love our constitutions and we love our constitutional rights as long as they stay peaceful. And while we're talking about no kings here in Washington State, let's make sure that our local elected officials remember they are servants. They are not kings or rulers. As some of you know, I don't even like the word leaders. Elected officials are servants, and they need to keep that in mind. But for the moment, let's see if we can get some new conservative public servants elected by Tuesday, November 4th. That's it for this week. Until next time, be well and stay strong.